Someone told me two of the other Utah beer companies, they literally bought one beer and then they were like, what is it? And they peel it, and it was another Utah company that was, the label was under it, and they relabeled
They
it.
just put the
the label or shrink sleeve.
Sleep over the top.
Yeah.
And that's what you had to do. I mean, if you can't get cans, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
There's not. I mean, we've talked about. I mean, we've done it.
We've done
our own
it.
cans.
Right.
We didn't buy somebody else's.
Right.
We almost bought it.
We looked at doing that. That was one of our options.
Yeah.
It was one company that they used to do the shrink sleeves for us. They're like, I have these sleeves ready. I don't have cans.
Yeah.
If you buy a can for someone and ship to me,
Then I'll
I can sleeve
it
to
for
you.
Yeah.
So we look at the market. There was many breweries in Texas where they have containers and containers of printed cans willing to sell. But at that point, we're still able to manage, kind of use our own cans, or we were not desperate at that point because we plan always 4 months ahead. So at that point, we were like, okay, we don't have to go that path, but we look at we get
like,
quotes.
This is an option if we have to.
I had sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
I can't even.
I'm
imagine.
sure.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of stress there, and we did miss some of our release deadlines because we weren't able to get cans, and we're still being impacted today. I mean, we're still waiting for cans to come in that were supposed to be 3 weeks, and then they just told us it's going to be 8 weeks.
Ooh.
So it's hard.
More than double. Ouch.
Yeah, it's hard to plan for something like that.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had enough backstock and inventory of previous that we were able to work through that. But you could certainly get caught flat-footed with quote unquote just-in-time inventory that people try to maintain so they don't have big warehousing costs and out-of-pocket costs. You can get burned with that really easily.
It's a delicate balance.
It is. It's difficult.
And during that time, we have to be very thankful for the community because they really support us buying beer from here. We saw, like the first time we put a new beer, was right as soon we closed for shutdown for COVID, we have the earthquake. So it was 1 week. So it was really crazy.
It was like Armageddon over here. Yeah.
And then we put the earthquake series because we were like, okay, earthquake happened. It was a crazy idea. And the next day, we're like, let's create the labels. Send to approval. It was like in 2 weeks, we have the labels in our hand. We packaged the first beer, put out. First beer didn't sell like that great, but the second one already have lines. Third one will have a huge line that was all the way to the end of the quarter turn. So that become like very supportive for the community to help us all the time. And then because of that, we're like,
Go Salt Lake.
Let's continue to do that. Let's continue to put a different beer every week, because if the people are liking this and we're putting great beer apparently, so let's keep doing it. Basically that was what made most of the revenue during that period. It was this release every week here.
That was our creative solution to come up with it. And, and like what Marcio said, thanking the community, I can't thank them enough, not only supporting us, we saw a lot of people coming and supporting us, and they were just at one of the other breweries buying beer. So the Salt Lake community all banded together. They're really like, hey, we're going to support everybody. We're not just going to support one. We want everybody to make it.
Right.
And just like, we as brewers here, we want everybody to make it. If somebody needs something from us, we offer it. If they call, we try to help them, and they do that to us.
It's good to supplement each other.
Everybody,
and that was a question I was going to have is, what's the relationship? It seems like everyone, at least as far as the Salt Lake and Utah brewing, is pretty close knit, or try to be.
Even in the big breweries, you would think like you went to Squatters Wasatch because they're so big that they're like, hey, we're not going to. They're the most generous out of
Really?
Wow, that's so cool to hear.
You would always help us with raw materials all the time. We have a great relationship with them, so we did collaboration beer with them. During the can shortage, they were with the same problem. They're ginormous brewery, they get hit really hard. Every single solution they couldn't find, they texted us, hey, I find the solution. If you guys need this, the contact number, call. I got this deal. And this was the same thing. All other breweries were help each other to buy those beers from those guys. And collaborations made for during the pandemic.
That's good to hear.
We tried to work together to buy, and for example, we'll the tops for the cans, right? The little plastic toppers that go on top of the cans. Everybody kind of uses the same ones. And at least
it's the new holders.
Small guys, the holders. And so, we have a thread where everybody's on it in the whole community. We're like, hey, I'm getting low. I'm going to place an order. Does anybody else need them? Because if you can place more than one pallet, you get a big discount. Yeah. So then we buy bulk, and then they bring them into a central location, and then we will deliver, or they'll come pick up or whatever, and then we drop the price.
I am willing to bet that is unique to here. I will put money on it. If you go to like other states,
some states can do. Some states that has a more organized old queue.
Yeah,
they are kind of doing that already. Not with specific products like this. They're doing basically the same thing. That happened to us in the crisis moment, where everybody got united and like, hey, we have to help each other. Let's get prices down and costs down, because
COVID.
Our margins go down to everybody. So everybody has a brewery. Imagine.
Well, this is the other thing that happened in November. So we went from 4% beer to 5% beer in the grocery stores, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, guess what? Alcohol's not free. No, to go from 4 to 5, you got to now use more raw materials to be able to bump that alcohol up.
Oh, that's true.
There's a cost for that.
Well,
nobody raised their prices, so everybody's like complaining that is like, hey, we went 4% to 5%, and the consumer expects the price not to jump.
Right.
Guess who takes the brunt of it? We do.
That's a cut.
Right? And all the breweries, and that's so the margins that we were making on 4% beer were actually higher than now what we're making on 5% beer, because we didn't pass that cost along.
And you think it's not just 1% growth; it's 20% growth on alcohol from 4 to 5. It's actually 20% increase in raw material. But not only that,
that's something people don't know.
Imagine a 4% beer. You taste a 4% beer. If I just increase the alcohol in a 4% beer, I'm gonna water down the taste, because I'm increasing something that doesn't bring body or anything else. So to overcompensate that, I have to bump my hops up. Usually, I have to bump my body. It means
balance
I'm
flavor
going
out.
20% higher in raw material. But I also have to just hire for body and business and everything else. So usually it's 30 to 35% higher. The costs on raw material to produce a 4 to 5% beer.
The logistics of it, you just don't really.
And people don't understand that. And nobody passed on a price increase.
And most breweries,
and then pandemic hits 4 months later.
Of course,
a while later,
right?
And small breweries like us, we were right away to moving from bottles to cans. So we plan to end our stock of bottles to switch to cans in November. So it was exactly the same time that happened. But some breweries, like Winter, Squatters, probably they are printed cans for 2-3 years ahead. They have to scrap all those beers because the ABV changed. If you have the ABV on the label, then you have to throw it away.
You got to redo it all over again.
And so that transition happened in July, basically, right? November was when they put it on the shelves, and so we ended up, because they didn't give a long enough lead time when the legislature made that change, we ended up throwing away about $125,000 in packaging costs. Just like we had already pre-purchased because we were planning, out ahead. I mean, we're pretty small. We're not that big. I couldn't even imagine what some of the big guys, they threw away way more than that.
Well, even that's no small drop in the bucket right there.
And also packaged beer. So, for example, we're planning to have everybody supplied up to October 30 or 30. And then get the 5% there. But how you maintain the shelves full until that date, and the next day you cut off. So distributors stopped buying beer from us in like 2 months before. No, we're not gonna buy anymore. Whatever we have, here we go. So Utah saw empty shelves for almost a month because they're like, I'm not gonna put a beer in the shelf because if it doesn't sell, I'm gonna have to eat that beer. So
otherwise, just taking up space.
So we plan, and they end up not losing because we end up discounting. But again,
we basically discounted to our cost to be able to cover our cost, our raw material costs. We didn't even cover our overhead on it. We just covered our.
It's a
cost
significant
of
blow.
materials.
And that was in November. And
then so like we asked, what could hit you next? All right, so Friday? Our CO2 guy just walked in and just put on the table a letter and said, your CO2 supplies are being cut by 30%.
By 7%.
No. We would get 70%. They're cutting us 30%. So because there's a CO2 shortage now.
Of course.
Because dry ice for all the
vaccines.
Now they're they're using the CO2 to be able to do dry ice for the vaccines.
More packaging breweries.
There's less CO2 for industrial uses like us. Food grade uses.
Another thing you don't even think about.
No, you don't think about
no
that.
idea.
So then we have to switch our gases that we use, for example, for purging tanks, or things that you can use nitrogen, for example. You have to switch to that, but nitrogen is more expensive than CO2.
It's significantly more expensive.
So then you go to a more expensive gas to keep the quality of the beer because you don't have enough supply of CO2.
Yeah.
And then all with that, trying not to raise prices for the consumer.
We didn't raise. Also, we have an increase in grain.
Yeah.
Past December, the grain went up. Of course it's not like 50% increase, but still it's increased. Every year it happened.
Well, it's just another thing chinking at the armor there.
Yeah, it just keeps eating away. And so packaging breweries like us really get hit hard with it. Some of the smaller breweries that just do mainly over-the-counter sales.
Yeah.
Their margins are large enough and they're doing small enough volume that it doesn't impact them nearly as much as us. Our margins are so much thinner because once we make the beer, now we have to sell it to the distributor. Distributor expects to make 30%. Then they sell it to the grocery store. Grocery store makes 30%.
Mm-hmm.
All right, where's my percent?
Yeah.
My percent's not 30%.
No.
It's way less than that.
They're making more off of it percentage-wise than you are.
Oh yeah. The brewing business is. You do this not because you want to get rich at it. You do it because you love it.
It's a labor of love. Yeah.
It's a passion. It's like putting this in the glass. This pastry stout in your glass, and you're like, holy crap, this thing's awesome. Right?
Yeah.
It's delicious, right?
To create and to see people
That
enjoy
is
it.
a really good.
I bet
That
it-
is a good stout.
Just the smile on your face that I can see right now. That's what makes it worth it for us to do this, right? If we weren't, if we were really in it to be like getting rich, I wouldn't be in beer.
Yeah. You're doing something else.
Yeah.
Start a mega church or something.
No, and
Tax free.
Yeah, exactly, right?